Oui, 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 oui.
50 000.
Ouais.
Je ne sais pas combien de kilomètres.
Oui, c'est...
Je connais Portsmouth, j'ai été, Subington.
Non, mais c'est en Amérique qu'il était.
Ah, bah, pas en Angleterre.
Non.
Non, moi j'ai passé en Angleterre avant de venir ici. Et j'ai été en Angleterre plusieurs fois.
Ça vaut faire anglais.
Oh, parlez-moi anglais.
Non, mais pas du tout.
Ah, très bien.
Bonne soirée.
The irony would be the American binders, what the German binders, because we're here at the time.
Dark and show. Peter.
Seems 27 and 28. When he goes back in time to see him close to death. On coastal January 1066, sensation official sights the Nazi man, also in a shadow with also. Edward had passed away. Edward Harold breaking into, and as himself cried, as himself cried, never seen the dead, seen the Independence Day, as well as Independence Day. The nation rejoiced as we see, seen the anyone, seen the this is a bad omen, and Harris is wild. As in a dream, the trees below scene 33 already predicts an invasion. In scene 34, we see spies in wedding today set out to see this before the challenge is taken. They will set out to Harold has been punished for breaking his oath. They decide to intervene. This is very obvious, even his half-doctor said, you can see him on the right, and see scene 36 is a line. These are the ships and buildings, and their ships and buildings. The ships leads the ring, the ships and
Where's Harold with the arrow in his eye? Oh. Yeah. D-Day ceremony at the American Cemetery this morning.
is some polygon. Oh, yeah.
is the French president coming in.
Mesdames, Messieurs, veuillez s'il vous plaît vous lever pour l'arrivée de la délégation présidentielle. Le président de la République française, François Hollande, et le président des États-Unis d'Amérique, Barack Obama.
Please remain standing for the posting of the colors and the playing of the national anthems of the French Republic and the United States of America. President Hollande, President Obama, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Monsieur le Président Hollande, Monsieur le Président Obama, Mesdames et Messieurs les représentants des autorités, Mesdames et Messieurs, vous êtes invités à vous asseoir.
It is our privilege to welcome all the distinguished visitors joining us today. We extend a special welcome to the D-Day and World War II veterans and their family members in attendance who honor us all with their presence. Today, we commemorate the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings, which began on the morning of June 6, 1944. Today's ceremony will honor our military men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice for the liberation of Europe. Included among those we honor are the 9,387 of our fallen veterans interned at this sacred ground and the 1,557 missing in action inscribed on the wall of the missing.
C'est un honneur pour nous d'accueillir tous les invités qui nous ont rejoints en ce jour mémorable. Nous souhaitons la bienvenue aux vétérans du débarquement et de la Deuxième Guerre mondiale, ainsi qu'aux membres de leur famille qui nous honorent de leur présence. Aujourd'hui, nous commémorons le 70e anniversaire du jour du débarquement qui eut lieu aux premières heures du 6 juin 1944. Cette cérémonie honore la mémoire des anciens combattants qui ont consenti au sacrifice ultime afin que l'Europe soit libérée. Parmi ceux à qui nous rendrons hommage figurent les 9387 Américains qui sont enterrés dans cette terre sacrée et les 1557 disparus au combat inscrits sur le mur des disparus.
Ladies and gentlemen, please bow your heads for the invocation delivered by the Most Reverend F. Richard Spencer.
Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez s'il vous plaît observer un moment de recueillement pendant la prière de l'aumônier militaire, le révérend F. Richard Spencer.
May we join our hearts together in prayer. Almighty and eternal God, as we gather here on holy ground to remember the fallen heroes of yesterday, everything we see, everything that we cannot see, exists because of you alone. Peace comes from you. It all belongs to you. Peace exists for your glory. History is our story. Our task here today is to not fix the blame for the past, but to fix the course for the future. Give to our government and military leaders the wisdom to lead us with humility, the courage to lead us with integrity, the compassion to lead us with generosity. Help us, O God, to remember that we are human beings, united not by race or religion or blood, but to our common commitment to freedom and justice for all. Help us to share, to serve, and to seek the common good for everyone. And whenever we face difficult days ahead, may we have a new birth of clarity in our aims, responsibility in our actions, humility in our approaches, and civility in our attitudes, even when we differ from one another. May all people of goodwill today join together to work for a more just, a more healthy, and a more prosperous world, and a peaceful planet. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the French Republic, François Hollande.
Mesdames, Messieurs, le président de la République française, François Hollande.
Monsieur le Président des États-Unis d'Amérique, cher Barack Obama, Messieurs les combattants du débarquement, les vétérans, Mesdames, Messieurs, nous célébrons aujourd'hui, en ce 6 juin, une date mémorable de notre histoire, où nos deux peuples se sont confondus dans le même combat, celui de la liberté. Nous sommes réunis à côté d'une plage, celle que nous voyons du cimetière de Caldwell. Une belle plage, calme, paisible. Le 6 juin 1944, c'était un épouvantable champ de bataille. Et c'est ce que nous avons voulu rappeler ici, 70 ans après. Comme dans l'histoire, il y a toujours des épreuves. Rien ne se passe comme prévu. Et en ce début de matinée, tout avait mal commencé. Sur Omaha Beach, les bombes de l'aviation étaient tombées malencontreusement en arrière des défenses allemandes. L'artillerie avait manqué son but. Les chars qui devaient soutenir les fantassins avaient coulé. Aussi, les hommes des premières vagues d'assaut se retrouvèrent-ils seuls avec leurs armes légères face aux mortiers, face aux canons, face aux mitrailleuses. Beaucoup furent mutilés, transpercés, massacrés. Et les survivants, cloués sur le sable, au milieu des morts et des blessés, étaient immobilisés sous un feu mortel, pendant que montait vers eux une mer rouge de sang. Les nazis étaient sûrs d'eux. Ils avaient construit un mur, le mur de l'Atlantique. Rien ne pouvait les atteindre. Ils n'avaient pas prévu que dans les démocraties, un grand idéal donne une grande bravoure et que des hommes venus de nulle part sont capables de donner leur vie pour sauver d'autres vies sur un continent qui est celui de la liberté. Comme l'a dit le général Omar Bradley, chaque homme qui a posé le pied à Omaha Beach le 6 juin 1944 fut un héros. Alors, ces jeunes soldats qui étaient sur cette plage se regroupèrent avec quelques officiers, sans ordre, sans plan. Ils coururent avec leur seul courage vers les lignes ennemies. Inattendu, impétueux, irrésistible, cet ultime assaut fut celui de la victoire. Au début de l'après-midi, Omaha a été conquise et le débarquement était réussi. Omaha, Utah, la pointe du Hoc, que l'on prononce en français, en anglais, tous ces noms évoquent la souffrance et la gloire, la désolation et la fierté, la cruauté et la délivrance. Plus de 20 000 Américains ont laissé leur vie ici en Normandie. 20 838, car je veux n'en oublier aucun. Ils furent vos parents, vos frères, vos amis. Ils furent nos libérateurs. La France n'oubliera jamais ce qu'elle doit à ses soldats, ce qu'elle doit aux États-Unis. La France n'oubliera jamais la solidarité entre nos deux nations. La solidarité qui a prévalu lors des deux grandes tragédies du siècle dernier. Une solidarité qui repose sur un idéal commun. Le rêve, la passion de la liberté. L'Amérique s'est toujours souvenue de la contribution de la France à sa grande révolution. Alors, en 1917, lorsque l'indépendance de la France fut en jeu, l'Amérique fut là pour la préserver. Et en 1944, lorsque la France fut occupée, alors l'Amérique fut là pour la libérer. Je sais ce qu'il en a coûté au peuple américain, ce grand pays ami. Tant de sacrifices, tant de pertes, tant de malheurs. 11 000 soldats américains sont honorés ici à Caldwell, dans ce petit village de Normandie, qui un jour de juin 1944 fut le site de la plus importante histoire de la Seconde Guerre mondiale et qui est aujourd'hui un lieu de mémoire qui unit nos deux pays. Ce sont les martyrs d'Omaha la sanglante, les héros de la pointe du Hoc, ce sont les parachutistes de Sainte-Mère-l'Église, les fantassins de la bataille des Haies. Oui, ce sont tous ceux-là qui sont tombés pour délivrer l'Europe. Je veux citer quelques noms de ces héros. Les Rides, Le Fils et le Père reposent ici ensemble, tués en juillet 1944, l'un en Italie, l'autre en Normandie, les deux pour sauver l'Europe. Ce sont tous ces frères que la guerre a fauchés. Ils sont 66 à être enterrés, 2 à 2, l'un à côté de l'autre. Parmi toutes ces croix blanches que l'on aperçoit au fond, 3 portent l'étoile d'or, la plus haute distinction militaire des États-Unis. C'est le lieutenant Jimmy Montis, fut l'un des premiers à débarquer ici à Omaha. Toute la journée, il s'est battu à découvert sur la plage avant de tomber sous le feu de l'ennemi sans avoir vu la victoire. C'est le sergent Frank Perigori qui, le 8 juin, devant Grand Camp Maisy, captura seul un poste de défense ennemi défendu par un 43 allemand. Il est mort 4 jours plus tard, au combat, dans le bocage normand. C'est le général Theodore Roosevelt Jr., le vainqueur d'Utah Beach, fils du 26e président des États-Unis, mort à 56 ans devant Sainte-Mère-l'Église, le 12 juillet 1944. Il est enterré à côté de son frère Quentin, qui lui fut abattu dans le ciel de Champagne lors de la Première Guerre mondiale le 14 juillet 1918. Leurs croix sont juxtaposées. Elles témoignent du fil ininterrompu qui relie nos deux peuples d'une génération à l'autre. Alors, Monsieur le Président, je renouvelle ici le serment de tous mes prédécesseurs. Jamais nous n'oublierons, jamais nous n'oublierons le sacrifice des soldats américains. Monsieur le Président, nous sommes les enfants et les petits-enfants de cette génération. Nous sommes les héritiers. Je suis né ici en Normandie, à Rouen, dans une ville qui a été en grande partie détruite pendant la bataille. Monsieur le Président, vous êtes né à Hawaï, dans l'État des États-Unis le plus durement frappé par la guerre. Nos parents, nos grands-parents nous ont fait le récit de ces combats, de ces épreuves, de ces douleurs, de ces souffrances. Nos parents, nos grands-parents nous ont élevés dans l'idée que pour que tout change, rien ne devait jamais s'effacer. De cette mémoire commune, nos nations ont forgé un espoir qui est aussi un devoir. C'est celui de la paix. C'est l'image que montre la Normandie aujourd'hui. La Normandie qui rassemble le monde entier. La Normandie où s'étaient affrontées des nations qui aujourd'hui sont réunies pour célébrer cette journée. Monsieur le Président, depuis 70 ans, les États-Unis, malgré les adversités, les crises, les épreuves, sont toujours restés pays amis de la France. Cette amitié, c'est l'amitié de deux pays qui, depuis 2 siècles, ont cheminé ensemble sur la voie du progrès. C'est l'amitié de 2 pays qui affirment la force des droits de l'homme face à la haine et à la tyrannie. 2 pays qui luttent contre l'oppression, l'obscurantisme et qui ont aussi cette ambition, vouloir rendre le monde plus juste, plus démocratique, plus pacifique. Monsieur le Président, les Français reconnaissent dans l'Amérique une énergie infatigable, une capacité à innover, à inventer, à créer, à porter le rêve de la réussite. Mais ce que les Français admirent le plus dans le peuple américain, parce qu'ils en sont eux-mêmes les plus ardents défenseurs, c'est l'amour de la liberté. Et ils savent, mes compatriotes, que lorsque l'essentiel est en jeu, lorsque les principes sont en cause, la France et les États-Unis se retrouvent toujours, comme dans ce terrible été 1944, sur les plages de Normandie et sur les plages de Provence. Il s'agissait alors de lutter contre la barbarie nazie. Aujourd'hui encore, nos deux pays sont unis pour répondre à d'autres menaces. Le réchauffement climatique, le creusement des inégalités, le sous-développement, la misère, la faim. Et oui, encore aujourd'hui, nous sommes unis face à d'autres périls que l'on croyait à jamais disparus. Le fondamentalisme, le racisme, l'extrémisme, le terrorisme. Voilà pourquoi cette cérémonie d'aujourd'hui prend une dimension particulière. Le silence de ce lieu exprime mieux que tous les discours le message des soldats qui reposent ici. Ils sont morts pour que nous soyons libres, soyons dignes de l'histoire qui nous rassemble pour continuer à la faire unie. Vive l'Amérique, vive la France et vive la mémoire de ceux qui sont tombés ici pour notre liberté.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States of America, Barack Obama.
President Hollande, people of France, friends, family, our veterans. If prayer were made of sound, the skies over England that night would have deafened the world. Captains paced their decks, pilots tapped their gauges, commanders pored over maps, fully aware that for all the months of meticulous planning, everything could go wrong. The winds, the tides, the element of surprise, and above all, the audacious bet that what waited on the other side of the channel would compel men not to shrink away, but to charge ahead. Fresh-faced GIs rubbed trinkets, kissed pictures of sweethearts, checked and rechecked their equipment. God, asked one, give me guts. And in the pre-dawn hours, planes rumbled down runways, gliders and paratroopers slipped through the sky. Giant screws began to turn on an armada that looked more like ships than sea. And more than 150,000 souls set off toward this tiny sliver of sand upon which hung more than the fate of a war, but rather the course of human history. President Hollande, distinguished guests, I am honored to return here today to pay tribute to the men and women of a generation who defied every danger. Among them are veterans of D-Day. Gentlemen, we are truly humbled by your presence here today. Just last week, I received a letter from a French citizen. Dear Mr. President and the American people, he wrote, we are honored to welcome you. Thank you again for all the pain and efforts of the American people and others in our common struggle for freedom. Today we say the same to the people of France. Thank you. Especially for the generosity that you've shown the Americans who've come here over the generations. To these beaches and to this sacred place of rest for 9,387 Americans. At the end of the war, when our ships set off for America filled with our fallen, tens of thousands of liberated Europeans turned out to say farewell. And they pledged to take care of the more than 60,000 Americans who would remain in cemeteries on this continent. In the words of one man, we will take care of the fallen as if their tombs were our children's. And the people of France, you have kept your word, like the true friends you are. We are forever grateful. Here, we don't just commemorate victory, as proud of that victory as we are. We don't just honor sacrifice, as grateful as the world is. We come to remember why America and our allies gave so much for the survival of liberty at this moment of maximum peril. We come to tell the story of the men and women who did it, so that it remains seared into the memory of a future world. We tell this story for the old soldiers who pulled themselves a little straighter today to salute brothers who never made it home. We tell the story for the daughter who clutches a faded photo of her father, forever young. For the child who runs his fingers over colorful ribbons he knows signifies something of great consequence, even if he doesn't yet fully understand why. We tell this story to bear what witness we can to what happened when the boys from America reached Omaha Beach. By daybreak, blood soaked the water. Bombs broke the sky. Thousands of paratroopers had dropped into the wrong landing sites. Thousands of rounds bit into flesh and sand. Entire companies worth of men fell in minutes. Hell's Beach had earned its name. By 8:30 a.m., General Omar Bradley expected our troops to be a mile inland. 6 hours after the landings, he wrote, we held only 10 yards of beach. In this age of instant commentary, the invasion would have swiftly and roundly been declared, as it was by one officer, a debacle. But such a race to judgment would not have taken into account the courage of free men. Success may not come with rushing speed, President Roosevelt would say that night, but we shall return again and again. And paratroopers fought through the countryside to find one another. Rangers pulled themselves over those cliffs to silence Nazi guns. To the west, Americans took Utah Beach with relative ease. To the east, the British tore through the coast, fueled by the fury of 5 years of bombs over London and a solemn vow to fight them on the beaches. The Canadians, whose shores had not been touched by war, drove far into France. And here, at Omaha, troops who finally made it to the seawall used it as shelter, where a general barked, "If you're Rangers, lead the way." By the end of that longest day, this beach had been fought, lost, refought, and won. A piece of Europe once again liberated and free. Hitler's wall was breached, letting loose Patton's army to pour into France. Within a week, the world's bloodiest beach had become the world's busiest port. Within a month, 1 million Allied troops thundered through Normandy into Europe, and as our armies marched across the continent, one pilot said it looked as if the very crust of the earth had shaken loose. The Arc de Triomphe lit up for the first time in years, and Paris was punctuated by shouts of "Vive la France! Vive les États-Unis!" Of course, even as we gather here in Normandy, we remember that freedom's victory was also made possible by so many others who wore America's uniform. 2 years before he commanded armies, Eisenhower's troops sliced through North Africa. 3 times before D-Day, our GIs stormed the beaches at Sicily, Salerno, Anzio. Divisions like the Fighting 36th brawled their way through Italy, fighting through the mud for months, marching through towns past waving children before opening the gates to Rome. As the dog faces marched to victory in Europe, the devil dogs, the Marines, clawed their way from island to island in the Pacific in some of the war's fiercest fighting. And back home, an army of women, including my grandmother, rolled up their sleeves to help build a mighty arsenal of democracy. But it was here, on these shores, that the tide was turned in that common struggle for freedom. What more powerful manifestation of America's commitment to human freedom than the sight of wave after wave after wave of young men boarding those boats to liberate people they had never met? We say it now as if it couldn't be any other way. But in the annals of history, the world had never seen anything like it. And when the war was won, we claimed no spoils of victory. We helped Europe rebuild. We claim no land other than the earth where we buried those who gave their lives under our flag, and where we stationed those who still serve under it. But America's claim, our commitment to liberty, our claim to equality, our claim to freedom, and to the inherent dignity of every human being, that claim is written in the blood on these beaches. And it will endure for eternity. Omaha, Normandy, this was democracy's beachhead. And our victory in that war decided not just a century, but shaped the security and well-being of all posterity. We worked to turn old adversaries into new allies. We built new prosperity. We stood once more with the people of this continent through a long twilight struggle until finally a wall tumbled down and an iron curtain too. From Western Europe to East, from South America to Southeast Asia, 70 years of democratic movements spread. The nations that once knew only the blinders of fear began to taste the blessings of freedom. None of that would have happened without the men who were willing to lay down their lives for people they'd never met. and ideals they couldn't live without. None of it would have happened without the troops President Roosevelt called the lifeblood of America, the hope of the world. They left home barely more than boys. Returned home heroes. To their great credit, that is not how this generation carried itself. After the war, some put away their medals, were quiet about their service, moved on. Some, carrying shrapnel and scars, found that moving on was much harder. Many, like my grandfather, who served in Patton's army, lived a quiet life, trading one uniform and set of responsibilities for another, as a teacher or a salesman or a doctor or an engineer, a dad, a grandpa. Our country made sure millions of them earned a college education, opening up opportunity on an unprecedented scale. They married those sweethearts and bought new homes and raised families and built businesses, lifting up the greatest middle class the world has ever known. And through it all, they were inspired, I suspect, by memories of fallen brothers. Memories that drove them to live their lives each day as best they possibly could. Whenever the world makes you cynical, stop and think of these men. Whenever you lose hope, stop and think of these men. Think of Wilson Caldwell, who was told he couldn't pilot a plane without a high school degree, so he decided to jump out of a plane instead. And he did here on D-Day with 101st Airborne when he was just 16 years old. Think of Harry Kolkowitz, the Jewish son of Russian immigrants, who fudged his age at enlistment so he could join his friends in the fight. And don't worry, Harry, the statute of limitations has expired. Harry came ashore at Utah Beach on D-Day. And now that he's come back, we said he could have anything he wants for lunch today. He helped liberate this coast after all, but he said a hamburger would do fine. What's more American than that? Think of Rock Merritt, who saw a recruitment poster asking him if he was a man enough to be a paratrooper, so he signed up on the spot. That decision landed him here on D-Day with 508th Regiment, a unit that would suffer heavy casualties. And 70 years later, it's said that all across Fort Bragg, they know Rock. Not just for his exploits on D-Day or his 35 years in the Army, but because 91-year-old Rock Merritt still spends his time speaking to the young men and women of today's Army. He still bleeds OD green for his 82nd Airborne. Whenever the world makes you cynical, whenever you doubt that courage and goodness is possible, stop and think of these men. Wilson and Harry and Rock, they are here today. And although I know we already gave them a rousing round of applause, along with all our veterans of D-Day, if you can stand, please stand. If not, please raise your hand. Let us recognize your service once more. These men waged war so that we might know peace. They sacrificed so that we might be free. They fought in hope of a day when we no longer need to fight. We are grateful for them. Gentlemen, Gentlemen, I want each of you to know that your legacy is in good hands. We're in a time when it has never been more tempting to pursue narrow self-interest, to slough off common endeavor. This generation of Americans, a new generation, our men and women of war, have chosen to do their part as well. Rock, I want you to know that Staff Sergeant Melvin Cedillo Martin, who's here today, is following in your footsteps. He just had to become an American first. Because Melvin was born in Honduras, moved to the United States, joined the Army. After tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, he was reassigned to the 82nd Airborne. And Sunday he'll parachute into Normandy. I became part of a family of real American heroes, he said, the paratroopers of the 82nd. Wilson, you should know that Specialist Dennis Rodriguez joined the Army not even 2 years ago, was assigned to the 101st Airborne, and just last month earned the title of the 101st Airborne Division Air Assault Soldier of the Year. And that's inspiring but not surprising when the women of today's military have taken on responsibilities including combat like never before. Each of you to know that their commitment to their fellow service members and veterans endures. Sergeant First Class Brian Hawthorne's grandfather served under General Patton and General MacArthur. Brian himself served 2 tours in Iraq, earned the Bronze Star in Baghdad for saving the life of his best friend, and today he and his wife use their experience to help other veterans and military families navigate theirs. And Brian's here in Normandy to participate in Sunday's jump. And here, just yesterday, he re-enlisted in the Army Reserve. And this generation, this 9/11 generation of service members, they too felt something. They answered some call. They said, "I will go." They too chose to serve a cause that's greater than self. Many even after they knew they'd be sent into harm's way. And for more than a decade, they have endured tour after tour. Sergeant First Class Corey Remsburg has served 10. And I've told Corey's incredible story before, most recently when he sat with my wife Michelle at the State of the Union address. It was here at Omaha Beach on the 65th anniversary of D-Day, where I first met Corey and his fellow Army Rangers, right after they made their own jump into Normandy. The next time I saw him, he was in the hospital, unable to speak or walk after an IED nearly killed him in Afghanistan. But over the past 5 years, Corey has grown stronger, learning to speak again and stand again and walk again. And earlier this year, he jumped out of a plane again. The first words Corey said to me after his accident echoed those words first shouted all those years ago on this beach: "Rangers, lead the way." Corey has come back today along with Melvin and Janice and Brian and many of their fellow active duty service members. We thank them for their service. They are a reminder that the tradition represented by these gentlemen continues. We are on this earth for only a moment in time. And fewer of us have parents and grandparents to tell us about what the veterans of D-Day did here 70 years ago. As I was landing on Marine One, I told my staff, I don't think there's a time where I miss my grandfather more, where I'd be more happy to have him here than this day. So we have to tell their stories for them. We have to do our best to uphold in our own lives the values that they were prepared to die for. We have to honor those who carry forward that legacy, recognizing that people cannot live in freedom unless free people are prepared to die for it. And as today's wars come to an end, this generation of servicemen and women will step out of uniform and they too will build families and lives of their own. They too will become leaders in their communities, in commerce and industry and perhaps politics, the leaders we need for the beachheads of our time. And God willing, they too will grow old in the land they helped to keep free. And someday, future generations, whether 70 or 700 years hence, will gather at places like this to honor them and to say that these were generations of men and women who proved once again that the United States of America is and will remain the greatest force for freedom the world has ever known. May God bless our veterans and all who serve with them, including those who rest here in eternal peace, and may God bless all who serve today for the peace and security of the world. May God bless the people of France, and may God bless our United States of America.
Will now lay a wreath in honor of those who served and those who made the ultimate sacrifice to liberate Europe. Please now observe a moment of silence.
Mesdames et messieurs, le président Hollande et le président Obama vont maintenant déposer une gerbe en l'honneur de ceux qui servirent leur pays et qui firent le sacrifice suprême pour la libération de l'Europe, suivi d'une minute de silence.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for a 21-gun salute, a plane of taps, and a flyover by the United States Air Force F-15s flying in a missing man formation.
Mesdames et messieurs, merci de vous lever pour une salve de 21 coups de canon, la sonnerie aux morts et le survol des F-15 de l'armée de l'air américaine en formation en hommage aux disparus.
delegates then move to the observation point of Omaha Beach. An announcement will be made when the ceremony has ended.
Mesdames et messieurs, nous vous demandons de rester assis pendant que le président Hollande et le président Obama se dirigent vers la table d'orientation sur Omaha Beach. Une annonce sera faite pour vous signaler la fin de la cérémonie.
Cole got to meet him. Said I hope Cole got to meet him.
Have you seen Paul?
No, I've been looking for him, but I haven't seen
I think so. No, no, she was a little beautiful. The owner of the Nick, do you know what rank was?
I think he was a Tech 4.
He was Signal 4.
Right. I think it was his rank said he was a Tech 4.
Tech 4.
We're here 5 minutes. One but the God.
Yeah, I know that.
Is there a lot of walking?
Yeah, I guess it's time for a good glass of wine or something like that.
I saw her eating.
We may get a group picture here. Absolutely. Well, some of the group is in the entrance. Oh, yeah. That is okay. Maybe in the hotel when we go back, together.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow morning.
When we get back to Paris.
You got a pack tonight.
No much.
The place is beautiful too, you know? Yes, beautiful. Great place to be here. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. You just wouldn't believe it. You just wouldn't believe it. Oh, we were well accepted. I know we are. And they tell us they love us, and I honestly believe they do. And no, it's so nice. We've made so many friends too. Here in France, and Belgium, and some other Germany. And it's just so nice. It's unbelievable, really, until you come here. Yeah, it is.
Est-ce que tu te souviens de ta dernière question? Tu te souviens de ta dernière question? Attends, je vais me mettre sur toi, tu vas la poser. Tu vas reposer la dernière question. Tu n'es pas obligé de répondre, c'est juste pour la question. C'est juste pour avoir la question pour moi. J'ai bougé pendant ce temps-là.
I'm going to have to re-ask the question.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. de toi.